Welcome to those that were earlier. For those that are just joining us now, my name is Brian Heyman. I'm the program coordinator of the Music and Entertainment Industries Studies program here at College. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the conference this year. The theme of it is empowering artists and sustaining success in music and entertainment. The main goal basically of the conference is to provide insights regarding the types of companies that provide various artist services to help empower the independent artists, producers, and songwriters as they navigate their careers. Students will also learn about the broader job market, and where some of the opportunities are, as well as the professionals, and how they have to adapt in an ever-changing business in order to maintain a successful career in the entertainment industry. And also for those creatives and business entertainment professionals working in the music and entertainment industry, sustaining success can be challenging. So we're also hearing from health and wellness professionals that support the arts community and the entertainment industry. Health and wellness strategy, diversity, burnout, discussing managing work-life balance and maintaining a healthy mind and body. For those that just like doing, we should have a platform which gets into some of the descriptions that we're now to. There's also behind the panelists here on the projector, you have a QR code that you can scan to learn more about this panelist that will be joining us in a second. And after the panel, there'll be a meet and greet. So we'll have about 15 minutes left, so please do come up and say hello to the panelists. We'd love to hear your questions, meet the up-and-coming professionals and creatives who make sure they're happy, so don't be shy. In fact, many of them on the panels tonight backgrounds alone. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Luke Powell, who will be moderating the private artist services for the independent artists. Thank you.
Let me explain what that is. A lot of people here are also artists, and a lot of people are business people, so I kind of want to talk to the audience as if they are artists and business people, because some of you guys really want to get into the business of artist services. And I tell my classes all the time, unfortunately, you might not make it as an artist. You know, it's hard, obviously, you know that. But maybe you could stay in what you love to do and work in the music business itself. So we're in the music business. Artist services, a lot of people in the artist services business come from either disgruntled artists or failed artists or laid off employees of record labels, things like that. So I think it's a panel that I think you guys are going to enjoy listening to all these guys here and girls here. If anyone could just introduce themselves briefly, what they do, and we'll get into it. I know we might have to cut it off. There's a lot to talk about. Hey everybody, my name is Jordan Kruger. I work at SchoolCorps as a digital rights management specialist. My main focus is understanding copyright across the internet and most digital platforms, not traditional streaming services, not traditional radio, TikTok, meta platforms, YouTube, the way copyright interacts with content, especially video content, making sure those rights are being enforced properly, and including as an analyst, starting to mitigate copyright claims, legal claims, things of that nature. There's also a graduate from I'm also going to do with my friends. Hi everyone, Jonathan Wax. I own a music business marketing company here in New York. Originally started to manage my brother, who eventually signed a record deal, publishing deal, got a lot of TV, film, and licensing, and all that good stuff. And I'm really good at helping other artists around the world build their fan bases and develop true connections with fans. My name is Erica Ramon. I'm a recovering man. I'm kidding.
former manager, started my own company about 6 months ago. Sort of built my career at sitting at the juncture of business and artist, and I speak both languages and kind of translate for both sides. I've expanded outside of just management services and consult for labels and cams. Hi, I'm Karen Bella. I am a singer-songwriter, recording artist, full-time musician, and I have a MEIS monogram music, which means I pay myself, basically, which is nice. I am pretty versatile with what it is that I do, but everything I do is within music. So I perform for different occasions. I perform at original music venues. And then I also used to attend Five Towns College, so it's nice to be here. And as an independent music artist, I have unique artist services. So I'll be able to chime in every now and then to explain how that has helped me in my independent career. I'm a series songwriter, record producer, mixer, engineer, and label owner, and also music artist and other bands. I just want to note, you had mentioned sometimes you end up basically multitasking in the music business, and early on, people told me to pick one thing, and it never felt right. So I want to let you all know that there is a way to make it all work and to do what you love and follow your own path. And this just proved that for me and a lot of other folks that I work with. Under my company, Government Production, we have a more traditional label as well as services, and we kind of cover anything and everything from booking to artist development consulting, release strategy, marketing, advising, helping build teams, and production and everything between.
Jordan, you're an artist too. I think, am I the only non-artist here? No. Yeah, so my background is I worked for Atlantic Records for 16 years. When I stopped doing artist development, I created a company called Reverb Nation that I guess became, maybe to this day, like one of the biggest artist services company for DIY artists. I did that for 15 years, sold it 2 years ago. I'm also an adjunct professor here, and I do for music publishing, and I also manage an artist that's doing really, really well, and that's doing really well, who also graduated from here. The tour managers from here, the guitar players from here, the singers from here, and they're doing incredibly well worldwide, so hopefully we won't be the last band to do it well. So let's start with artist services. What does artist services mean? What are the different kinds of artist services what do you guys think? I think of distribution and publishing. I kind of don't think it is an artist service. You definitely need it. But I almost feel like it's a duty. You kind of have to do that. And then the other stuff is almost an all carte thing sometimes. Jordan, what are you're an artist as well. Do you use artist services?
I don't use artist services. I think what we're seeing traditional distribution companies, people who would be that first layer of the sandwich. If you're an independent artist, you need your bread, you need your butter, right? That's your publishing, that's your distribution. Those companies, I think, are looking to expand. A la carte is a great way to describe it. I think white glove service is another great way to describe it. Not every artist is looking for success on every single platform. And I also think we're seeing artists differentiate and branch out when they're not necessarily looking to make it to the top, but they're looking to better understand their audience and how you can generally create new revenue based on that audience. The term super fan is thrown around a lot these days. So when we think about artist services, I would say, in my case on YouTube, if I get a major artist a playlist cover through pitching, that's artist services, right? It's finding those tertiary opportunities that are still within the confines of whatever deal you're making. If you're a distribution company, you don't want to overextend your artist services because realistically, you only own so much, if not none, of the intellectual property around those sound recordings, like masters, you know what I mean? But at the same time, expanding that artist's opportunities, that's a big portion of what we're seeing, but it is constantly shifting and evolving, and I think that's a big part of understanding success in the industry as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think because of the independent sales of like roughly 50%. It's not just major label stuff anymore. So the reason all the services were probably created in the first place was if you're not on a label, you're sending people to do your stuff. You still need label. That means a lot of it. Yeah, you need label services. And I think that's what a lot of what we're going to talk about. So I should have probably prefaced that what artist services actually kind of is. Artist services can also start a lot earlier than the marketing of it. Yeah. There are people who specialize in connecting artists with other songwriters they can co-write with, producers like Vanessa, and Vanessa might be helping artists to develop their sound, their brand. And at that point, once the music is ready to go, you are going on to another artist services of getting your music out there and how you build your niche and really hone in on your target demographic.
I think further to both of your points, artist services is kind of ever-changing, and it really does come down to, most often, a conversation that's had between manager and artist, right? Like as the nucleus of the business, the brand, the company, the vision, and what an artist wants for their career can change. It can change hour to hour, it can change year to year. At the top, the paradigm was always getting signed to a major label. For some, that still is the dream. For others, that's not even in the forefront. And so it really depends individually by genre, by level, by personality, what it is that you need to surround yourself with.
I might just add that back in I would say the 2000s, coming out of the 90s, something like artist services would definitely be called cringe in some ways, because it's a lot of artists felt like in some ways out of the 90s, you're selling out, and not these an artist or band taking ownership of their own career and being in charge of their own knowledge, their own path, and really taking their career and understanding all the functions, because really at the end of the day, it's between you and your audience and what you build. And I think the really creative artists who have a vision can hire out people along their journey to help build that, and you have to be visionary, especially now. So, if anything, the services side of what's available now for artists to be looked at as you all being able to take things into your own hands and really not having to owe money to a bank.
And I think it's going to be like that in maybe it might take another 10 years, but we're seeing it more and more now that independent artists are just, they're all in one. I know Believe Music owns TuneCore, his company, and also owns my company, and we're seeing artists that are making way above 6 figures that I've never even heard of. No, you've never heard of them. Am I wrong? Not wrong. People are making tons of money with streaming, even though they pay a little bit of money. It's still a little bit is it adds up. Want to add anything?
Yeah. Music businesses, whether you're a distribution company or a record label, we find ourselves in a point in time where you are somewhat reliant on your DSP partners, the negotiations you have with those DSP partners, and certain organizations you belong to, like Merlin, to understand and appreciate the promotional opportunities that artists are receiving. And the tools are super out there, but what we need, I think, is that level of education to bridge to an artist that's just starting out, or a very high-level artist. There's still a lack of understanding with things like how do I get a playlist placement, which playlisting companies are legitimate, what are legitimate ways I can promote my music. And those things are constantly shifting, so you would probably do better to find an expert who can exploit those opportunities for you.
You know, artists who don't even know to register songs on PRO like ASCAP or BMI, and then they have no idea how to even approach TV song licensing or even know that that's an opportunity. And with the message that, 20 years ago, some of these things might have been considered, taboo or just something you would think about. A lot of artists who didn't want to get their songs in commercials. Billy Joel only started relying on that, I think, for his catalog like 5 years ago. So, many artists, you got your song in commercials.
an artist and you're a singer-songwriter and performer, you're primarily focusing on your art, which is what you do. You're not thinking about the business side of it, of the management side of it. What are you going to do once you've gone through that otherworldly experience of creating this amazing record? Now what? And so you're like, do I have the budget? What do? I don't have a label. I'm independent. And that's where all of these people come in. You pick up the phone, you speak to people, you send an email, and you're like, this is my goal, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm at. And then you get advice on what it is that you need to get your music out there. It is a bit of an investment, but it is a beneficial investment that is worthy because this is your career and your future. And as an artist, you also have to have a little bit of a mindset of CEO of, for example, myself, Lauren Bella. When somebody said that to me once, and they're like, you're not helpless, you are CEO of you. And that's something that every single artist in here, every single musician, absolutely should think. And I know that if I didn't have that help, that team beside me, for example, I had Jonathan help me with a whole bunch of stuff, getting my song and placement on Spotify, helping me with my social media to increase my followers. That has helped me significantly, whereas prior to that service, nobody really knew who I was or would have known about my music if it wasn't for services.
I think Karen makes another good point about one of the greatest gifts of music now is that there really is no barrier to entry. When I was coming up, it was expensive just to record and just to get your name out there. And today the music is the industry is so saturated and so even my 50,000 a day. Even the reason is that so how quickly the business is changing and moving. So part of having artist services is being able to get that person or that team to ring the bell for you and to make sure that it's more than just your family and friends know who you are. Because as Karen said, you as an artist, you should focus on your art. But you can't continue to do your art unless you can monetize it. And that's where the team comes in.
And just to tie in Lou's point about how there are artists that no one's ever heard of making six figures and there are 150,000 tracks being uploaded a day. Artist services, I think, on the label industry, but that's why we were thinking about how can we affect the client, right? This has some incredible opportunity if you are a rights holder or if you have a large enough catalog as an independent musician. But again, you need to find experts who understand those spaces, who understand the difference between royalty rates on social monetization platforms. The amount of money you're making stream if someone uses your record on Instagram or YouTube, much different than the amount of money someone's making per stream or per claim. Like an artist who's registered in a constant ID service, who's registered with a multi-channel network, for instance, you are privy to a certain amount of information. So as the independent artist, I would say, again and again and again, reach out and find the experts and educate yourselves because the tools are there. The tools for you to get started are right there. But what everyone still isn't sharing is that education and that information that you need to find those arbitrage opportunities. And that's where artist services is important.
Yeah, I mean, even when it comes to management, say management could be considered an artist service. You want to work with a manager who represents your genre, who believes in you and all that other stuff. But as we were talking about Karen earlier, I could not help a singer-songwriter. It's not a business relationship. If you want to get in front of a metal audience or rock audience and meet agents and managers in that world, yes, I can help you. But I couldn't take on somebody else. So you have to be aware of that. Not just hire some big name producer or a marketing company just because they're a big name marketing company and they represented some big artists. Katy Perry. If you're not metal, then you don't want that person. And vice versa. So you got to pick the right person, do your homework. You can also get ripped off by a lot of companies too. There's a lot of those people out there as well. On the other services side, not as much as they used to be. There used to be some, pretty bad people out there.
There's definitely been a lot of fluctuation too of new companies that have come out in the last couple of years. I remember talking to a radio promotion company who I worked with like maybe 10 years ago, and we were laughing because we were like, oh, we're still here. This is crazy, weird. I think it's super important when if you do hire out management services, this is something that my company provides, is that it's a company that it's surrounding like typically a release strategy, because that's when you're probably going to need it the most, and also some company that will help educate you, which is really important. You were mentioning PROs, like there's so many different, it's up to an artist or band's responsibility to register these, like your distribution might have that as an add-on service, but it's really up to an artist to know. And people didn't talk about this 10 years ago that much, and so it's really important to understand there are so many different pieces. So that's try to educate yourself in whatever area and ask questions.
Yeah, that's good point. You brought up publishing administration. That's what my company that I work for does, so I'll just touch on it quickly and then I'll shut up about it. But publishing is like the non-sexy part of the business. Nobody ever wants to deal with it, but it's so important. So it's lucrative, exactly. Yeah, I know. I'm going to stop this on that one. So it's like the publishing administrator can actually do a lot of this boring stuff for you and collect all the money for you and take a percentage. When you want to talk to another person as an artist service, you want to talk to a manager. It's like, say, hey manager, I'm looking for more creative work, so I might have to sign with a traditional publisher as opposed to a publishing administrator who's just registering your music, collecting it, and just taking a fee instead of owning your music. You have to discuss with them. You have to have a plan, basically, is what I'm saying. And that's before you even hire a services company, you should have a plan. Are you looking for to take it to the next level immediately, or long-term growth? Things like that, you have to really figure it out. And there are companies that will get you really quick, point to the top of the pen to spin. You got to be careful with plays and things like that, but it might not be good for the long term. If anybody wants to talk about like what you think is most critical, right away for an artist, or when would you actually, as an artist, when is the first time you need an artist services company? What do you think is the first artist service company you should get to?
You have tried 3 times to do something yourself, and you can't figure it out. Speak to someone else. But if you are on your first or second try, keep going. Because every single person you speak to is going to need something in exchange for the help that they're giving you. And as an independent artist, your business is how much of you still own. So hold on to it as long as possible. There are artists like Ben Fowles who took a manager, a team of maybe 1 or 2 other people, right? Completely local, use the data they were provided, found arbitrage opportunities, they did it themselves. So if you've tried something at least 3 times and can't figure it out, talk to someone. But if not, teach yourself how to do it. Because let's say you never make it as a musician, right? Now you have a bunch of skills. You have a resume of skills that you have taught yourself that can apply to the first job you got in the industry, the second job you got in the industry, the business you want for yourself. Try first. And if you can't figure it out, talk to someone.
That's a good point. Very good. I think there's all strengths and weaknesses that every individual person has or can. And so, if you have strengths that you recognize the weaknesses that you need help with, that's okay. And talking to people who understand those avenues can help you build. Whether it's, coming out with content and social media, which is a big struggle for a lot of artists. Or how you make music happen, what avenues do you pursue? I mean, there's a lot of people creative online and quickly educate yourself and get a million brands. That's going to work and what's not going to work. But even in the beginning, you wrote all these songs and you don't know what producer to work with. There are people who might have, kind of a great opinion on that. And so, again, lots of weaknesses and try to educate yourself as much as you can and learn from someone else. But also, if you need help, go and get it.
And I would say in contrast with old traditional label style and new school and services, which we are in a climate of mixing both of them. Typically, I'm just going to add that every artist is different and touch your music, and then the next step is marketing. The more old school approach, which there's a lot of controversy, I think, around, is like the traditional stuff like PR and radio and when those actually come into play. And I think the most important thing is your branding, music, and your product, and then to market that. The other traditional things like PR, and also I know there's going to be different opinions, so it'll be nice to hear some contrast. But the PR piece might only be in play when there's a band who's doing a tour and has some sort of story already built, because it's really going to be about a look. And the same thing with radio, might need to coincide only when you're doing PR, only when you have a tour lined up. There's so many pieces you need to line up. So if you're first starting out, start small and take steps and mainly focus on the product, which is you and your music, and then the marketing, and spill out from there.
That's really great what you just said, and I'd like to say that I've had experience hiring someone to do a lot of PR work for me. So, for example, in 2020, I released an EP on March 13th, 2020, and little did we know when everything was being planned that everything was going to be shut down. So I spent $20,000 creating this record, working with like musicians that are world-class musicians, an amazing producer, and a great studio. And then I was like, now I can't do anything, so what do I do? And it was actually a blessing in disguise, because it made me realize I didn't have a plan. And so I spent about a year thinking, what do I need to do to get this record out there? So in 2021, I re-released the EP. I hired a PR lady named Denise, and she spent months and months and months helping me get all these articles out. I made a music video. Yeah, I did spend some more money, but I was able to get it out. And it was the first time that I experienced artist service that was me actually doing something. And it wasn't about what the exact result was or how much success I've made with it, but being published in Go Agriculture magazine, being able of having a PR article on Broadway Road, things like that was something significant for me, which then led to other opportunities for artist services a la carte. And so, yeah, I definitely want to say that everything you're saying is precise, and you have to figure out what the best plan is for yourself. By using an opportunity at first, I gained the strength and knowledge of what I do have to do now that I have all this time and nothing happening.
And I would just add one thing, it's just that don't compare yourself to other artists too much. Because, you know, you're going to know some of the good things that maybe an artist who has achieved or, you know, the most important thing to know is not as big as somebody else and vice versa. And so, some of those things turns out happening because it's everything is in the same time, one step back, two steps back. And so it is, you have to enjoy all of the steps that you don't get to work. You know, because you have to just target those moments and recognize when you really like something. And it's the same thing. You know, you get to take that in because, you know, you're going to be constantly at the games. Industry is always going to be, you know, something that you have to put a lot of energy and effort to. And not to look at the different point of view, I think it's exciting because, you know, it's something you're investing in, you know, and you're passionate about it. So enjoy every milestone that you do get. Make sure to take it in and also just try not to compare yourself to others because, you know, you obviously don't have that as but also, you just, you know, everyone has different things in careers.
I think another good measure, sort of touching on what Vanessa mentioned, is that it starts with the product, the song, the music, the album, but also who are you in a PR and market to, right? You need fans, right? It may not be time to bring in a publicist or a marketing company if you haven't played a single show and don't have a single person who's going to buy that product. Focus on controlling the things that you can, right? Your art and then protecting it. I started my career at BMI, and it was astounding to me how many people I spoke to who called every day to literally say, I'm signed up with you, but I don't know why. Don't be the person that doesn't know why. Know where your money is coming from, you know, where, how money is being spent, and protect your IP, first and foremost.
That's a good point. Like, another artist could be a business manager, which you don't usually need until you're bringing in tons of money because they take another 5% cut usually. You really don't need one right away because they're not going to, they might not want to do all this work for pennies, basically. But you do have to look at all the revenue streams coming in because you want to make sure you are capturing it all. Like the panel before, I think we're talking about like sound exchange and a couple of other items there. What services do you people see on the panel that are like underutilized? People aren't using sound exchange as much as they don't know about it, I think. People are using, I should say, they're joining BMI or ASCAP, like you said, they don't even know why, but that doesn't cover everything. Then there's distribution, there's different kinds of distribution platforms. There's ones that take a percentage, say 15%, and there's others that charge you no percentage, but they charge you like whatever, $10 a song or something like that. You then decide what you want to do. You know, what they offer you for those deals and everything else. So maybe somebody with somewhat of a finance background might be able to help you right away. Do you think that's sort of something that artists should get involved with right away, like a finance type person, or wait a little while?
I feel like education right now seems like the most important place because, like, most artists don't know that, like, if you cover a song, you need to go to a company like Harry Fox and buy a license for that. It happens a lot. And that's so the person who actually wrote the song can get publishing. But so many, I know artists every day, literally, who I talk to who don't know, like, where their stuff's going. And also, if you have a rep who's representing you in, like, a pub admin kind of deal, like, you know, making sure that that's on track. The more team that you bring in, the more you are going to have to keep on track of. So I feel like once you put out your music and you've got your brand and your goal and, like, your message, the core element of who you are, it's like then start bringing in other people. I mean, a manager would be very helpful, and maybe in management services, or you find a manager who can help, who really believes in you, which is a whole other topic because, you know, for managers in developing acts, it's a very, very hard, long road, especially in the early stages. But I'm sure this is going to open up different opinions.
If I could jump in, I would say particular distributors, a lot of independent distributors have what's called a release checklist. When you upload that record on the back end of your platform, whether that's TuneCore where I work, 1RPM where I previously worked, it'll tell you, update your Spotify photo, update your Apple Music photo, register your record here. So they don't get every distributor, but you can find things like a release checklist that when you're starting out are super helpful. I work in the digital rights management space, so, you know, if I could ask the audience a question, who here knows BeatStars? Who here has made a song with BeatStars? You can do nothing with BeatStars ever for the rest of your life. You don't own that record, you need that record, you don't own the underlying composition, so you need to understand digitally how your rights are operating. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, they're the fastest out in the industry. Independent artists to find success right now, right? So if you have the right distributor, you can be registered with a content ID service. You could be registered with an audio fingerprinting service on TikTok, on Instagram, and then you have dedicated operations teams who are enforcing your rights. So when that one record blows up, you can count it as streams. We have very large artists who are properly enrolled in content ID. They make 1 million views on a video. Well, you can't take that towards the amount of units you sold because you didn't register it correctly. So I think when you think on the digital space, publishing administration, choosing the right distributor, and making sure your rights are being enforced on social media, because that's that first testing ground for you to link with your fans.
All right, good. Some questions that we can get here. What resources are underutilized by artists that you see? You've worked with some of the art services people who maybe not because you're not on services, but each of you have worked with bands, artists, and what do you think is not being utilized the most? I keep saying, I keep having my band to get their mailing list in order. The younger generation just doesn't do mailing lists. What do you guys think?
There are also companies where you can do cell phone lists as well, and people are really text much more openly on cell phone text than emails. And something that my dad used to do, and I don't know why I do this, but he would be funny on stage, and then he would say, everyone here can open the phone and text my data. He's got a go to my mailing list. And maybe some of them have the shows down your way, and then some of them are saying again, the first thing they did is like, what the hell's on my phone? Just get the thing, that's my question. Yeah, and just the emails came through. It was great to see it. They didn't have to collect. I found an email, and just like my list, and if they want to have that, they can usually do that. And, you just want to keep in contact with them. But hey, it's really good on Instagram, Facebook, you could advertising to get these contacts, and then you have to pay to have them see your post sometimes by posting it. So it's like people learning it. It's interesting. So if you can earn the information and basically email and keep in contact with them, I still encourage emails. I still encourage them to keep you engaged directly with your family.
Yeah, because when I was, 10, 15 years ago, we had using MySpace. And every artist was using, in my world, rock, punk, whatever world, it was pure volume in MySpace. That's all we cared about. MySpace went away, and they looked, and every artist basically had to start from scratch working on their fans, and then pure volume kind of went away. I think it went away. Well, definitely went away as far as meaning anything. And you had nowhere to go. So all these artists had to start from scratch in the punk, rock, and metal world. So I say website's still important. A lot of people might go to your website, they're too busy playing around on Instagram and your TikTok page, everything else. But the website, at least you own it. You own your domain name, your website, your email list. Those are things that you own. As opposed to getting a that's in a business, and that's where all your money's made and all your exposure is made. You're kind of screwed.
When people are just going to go through for the first time, if they have a website, some articles, you have a good kind of in the overall, it's not that they're taking your case seriously, they're taking your brand, and I think that's important too.
I might just add something that I've observed working with artists and bands. I guess in the most important factors that I've seen that the challenges are money and creativity. And artists who might struggle with not having enough money to market their music, but the thing is, you think about all the artists that you grew up listening to, most of them started from nothing and were creative. And that's where, if you don't have a budget, it's about being creative and going back to the root of why you started playing music in the first place. So being creative with your content in a way that you actually enjoy making creative content versus forcing yourself to do it. And then from there, when you have some budget, it's like putting money into that. But it's, without having goals and having a message as an artist, as a core, it's hard to know your path forward and what exactly you're doing if you don't think about that in the first place. So in terms of, lack of services, I honestly would say the biggest challenge is the money and creativity. And if you don't have the money,
there's recently, but I got a list of some music supervisors in my industry for TV film. And I just reached out and said, I represent my band. Some of them that we've got this kind of starting to really get some momentum going on socials on Spotify. And hey, she's like, when I'm called out of the blue, was the supervisor of this whole Thank You for Dance. And she said, hey, we have this song, we could song it as the song that we want to monetize at the end of the episode. And so that's become very good at. So we really it's not that it's in this band, but she could have created that I think that's the very good song. It was a big deal. And when we immediately reached out to the band, like, now, I told the question, she said, hey, we want to have this song. I have no episodes of Facebook meetings as nomination monitors in every episode. And then, typically 6 months, later, I wanted to go to video with that song. And I was just continuing to be non-grade, which was another big accomplishment for unsigned artists. And we were actually publishing deals. So, and when I started to get down, I started reaching out to all the other supervisors who didn't even email me back. And so, what is actually going on? And I really like our license commercial, so things happen
this is for maybe people out in the audience who might want to become a regulator, maybe a business fighter. What inspired you to want to get into artist services? Is it because it just happened, was it because of, I don't know, maybe you were let go by another company, or did you want to do this on your own, your artist? I mean, some of you hit on this a little bit, but what made you want to get into working with rights management at 1 RPM and then 2 Club? Because right out of school, I think you were 1 RPM, right?
I was just looking for a way to bang down the door. I got an internship to write blog posts and emails while I was still in school. Emails. Anyways, I was saying I was going to be crazy every single week. And then from there, I was put in charge of writing more blog posts. And from there, I was put in charge of designing new content for the blog. And then eventually it got to the point where, I was hired before I left school. I was working 30 hours a week for 1 RPM my senior year. I don't care about emails. I'm not a big social media person, but that's what they need to be, right? So, it came to a point where the person who was running most of their YouTube services had just abruptly left. And they were looking at it and they didn't know who was going to do it. So I said, you know what? That's my way to get a full-time job in this business. That's my way to make sure I'm valuable. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good my emails are, you can still find someone else to write emails, right? So I just multiplied this position, and now from my YouTube space, I'm working across most of the rights management platforms on social media, So if you are looking to get into this business, go through the exit, go through the front door, gather whoever you need to bother, show up at places you may not necessarily be invited to, be the person who is going to be there every single time, because eventually they're going to need you, right? And then from there, you need to keep fulfilling yourself. I don't have a personal interest in YouTube. I can build you a multi-billion-dollar business, multi-million, sorry, I can't put the numbers around, a multi-million-dollar business on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's not something I was passionate about. I'm not passionate about databases or SQL queries, but I want to upskill myself in the 4 years I've been in the business to be very good at working in databases and building case studies around the results that I can find. Right? So you need to be open. When we talk about artist services, if you're an independent artist, teach yourself as much as you can. Because if that doesn't work out, you will have taught yourself enough to get an entry-level position in this business. And that is going to feel just as rewarding as getting your records out there, because you're still getting a paycheck every 2 weeks for working in music. And I know that's what y'all want to do. Right? So keep your head down and keep learning.
I think we'll just come down and think about what makes sense of this. I mean, for me, I was actually forming a university I don't go here, but it's amazing that all these guys someone who's had success from here. It's an incredible approach. Okay. Always really good to my life and I just love it. And he wasn't able to get that kind of basin, and I was going to go out and knock on doors. And so I just started doing that. And we can see things and we're doing things happening. And it's done right. Well, I was winning the paper, but on purpose. it out there?
I grew up in Los Angeles with sort of like being a music lover and a music fan, no entertainment family background, but also knowing that I didn't want to be a performer. So I went to school and studied economics, because that was my deal with my parents. You can do whatever you want, but you have to get a degree. So I did. And I just, it was before social media, but email was big, and I listed the top 10 companies that I'd want to work for and just started writing people. Two of them called me. One was BMI, as I mentioned earlier, and I went in thinking, like, I don't really want to work in the film and TV department, when at the time you should know that, like, sync was the new radio, or as we were calling it back then, and all you wanted was your song on One Tree Hill, or the AC, or the lights. And I went in and met with the women who would become my boss. One was a former manager, one was a former agent, and I thought, I could do this. And a year and a half into that, I was approached by a company that was starting a management arm. They were the biggest, they still are the biggest trade magazine in music called Hits. They were building a management arm. It was mostly alternative rock music, which was where I cut my teeth as a kid. And I got thrown into a bunch of bands and kind of just went and knocked on doors with other managers and said, who does your day-to-day? And when they said nobody, I offered myself up. And did that. Then for about 5 years, moved to New York with a day job because I thought I was going to maybe go into the label or publishing side and take a break from my masochism. And joined a firm where I was in New York for 10 years, and 6 months ago I left to start my own thing because as a manager, I realized that I was, either the CEO, the co-CEO, COO of multiple organizations. I was splitting that money with the house and decided that I was the house. So I was going to, if I was going to work with an artist, that we would work together. But also I could expand my services past just management for artists and get into other areas that I was interested in. So now I consult for labels, I consult for brands, and then I still have a small management roster that I keep.
I want to say that as an artist, there are certain things that I do for myself. I self-promote, I self-manage, I reach out to people, I self-book. But when you get to a point where you're just plateauing, you don't realize how important artist services are and how important these individuals are and how important you are when you're stepping into this field. Because artists need help. Artists need a team, and the team needs the artist. So you're very important, and you just need to know that. And I want to thank you all for helping artists and anyone who has helped me here personally with my career. So I just want to thank you, and thank you for having me here.
Vanessa, how about you?
The money, you're worth the time and the energy. I will definitely say I've had quite a long journey, and everyone's on their own path, and we're always looking for answers by following other people, but you have to be your own leader. And this, I started in the music business. I was in music school briefly in LA, and I found that we could get internships for credit. And I was like, great, I'm going to intern at as many places as I could, and I interned at Warner Chappell. I interned at Steve Davis record label at Epitaph Records, and that's when I ended up getting my first job. And the first thing I get the intern person in charge says, just so you know, you're not going to get a job here. And I was like, okay, I got a job then. I started out, my first job in the music business was what they called at the time viral marketing. Ironically, it was going into message boards and AOL chat rooms and telling people about records. And I was so pumped because I loved all the bands. I've had a very interesting journey. I've worked, for almost every type of job in the music business, also while maintaining a career as an artist between 2015 and 2020, was playing 100 to 200 shows a year, while also recording and doing my label. And I can't even tell you how many times I've been told, like, hey, you gotta pick one thing, or like, hey, you should just focus on this or that. And I get it, because it's hard, frankly. She's like, but when you like something,
you love it and you do whatever you can to just do it and like follow your heart and your vision. And when during my journey, I ended up being the in-house assistant engineer at 606, the Foo Fighters studio. And while I was there, I really wanted to start a label, and I remember finding a band. I remember telling all these A&R and label folks about different artists I'd find. And everyone's always waiting to be second, especially in the major label world. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to start my own label, and it'll be a place for myself and other artists and bands to help get to their next step. And that's what I did. And sometimes you leave other things to follow your own heart and follow your own path. And that can sometimes be a lonely road because you're making a decision for yourself. So all I can say is for all of you out there, with whatever dreams you have, now is your time to follow that path and your creativity and think outside the box. We're in the Wild West right now. Everybody's kind of like, okay, how do we market? How do we do this? There's no pure answers except for new things we're finding out in old traditional ways and, some stuff that has worked. But also there's a path for creative new things. So go follow that.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do what your personality says. I was at Atlantic Records for 15 years. I worked with developed some of the biggest artists in the world. But when they stopped doing artist development, I wanted to do something to help develop artists. So I started a company, did that for 15 years. So it kind of always has to do what you're into. Don't just, wasn't about money. I left really nice corporate credit cards and salary to try something. And it went easy, but most of the time it doesn't. So that's it. I think the questions, we have 5 minutes left, I think. Any questions? I think I just saw my old intern working. Maybe he's speaking later. I gotta say, that's for next week. I look back when you were at my record. Did you start there? CPCs. Early days. Let's have artist development. I'll keep explaining. The late 80s, so artist development was pretty much touring, tour marketing, things like that. All revolved around that. It was, bands were signed off with great music they had. Now they don't take risks anymore. So you already have to be developed for labels to sign you. So back then, we were literally signing, when we signed Kid Rock, he had nothing going. He was just some dude from Detroit who was trying to be a hip-hop artist. We had to develop into things like that. That's funny. Always Other Than Simple Plan, a whole bunch of bands like that. It was developing. People out here probably heard this, but they used to think they were the coolest band. I'm like, you're not cool, man. You're like 13-year-old girls like you. You're not a cool punk band. You're a pop punk band. But they don't realize that. That's what kind of the label did. But we also screwed up a few things. We tried to turn Jewel into a pop star. We kind of should have stayed. She would have been probably the Taylor Swift type girl.
I think there was also just from my experience, there was more of an incubation period. So there was time to figure out what your sound was, what your voice was, how you wanted to convey this with social media following, with the streaming, with statistics. That's why services is better.
I heard someone on the panel talk about Sirius XM, which is such a huge avenue for exposure. But there are just many other avenues now that you could pursue that really doesn't have necessarily as much pull as it used to in converting to sales or streams and everything like that.
We have one more question. You can meet some of us in the back for a little while. One more question here. Where does most of an artist's revenue come from in today's age? My world is touring and ticket sales and merch. That's often business work, my opinion.
Streaming for sure. I'm synchronizing similar, and I know that's not a few times, but there's significant money that can be and exposure. So touring, merchandising, streaming, all that.
I think it can be somewhat genre-specific. As I mentioned, in working a lot in rock music, we still sell a lot of actual physical albums.
Vinyl too.
And vinyl. Yeah. I think rock is wholly responsible for breaking vinyl back. But the other thing is back to my point earlier about the fan relationship. VIP opportunities have become huge for touring musicians, and I managed a band called the Prerequisite for a decade, and when we started, our VIP sales were some nights 3, 4, 5 times our guarantee at the show.
We just did that for the band that I'm running, and it basically funded the entire tour, having people meet the band an hour before the show, funded the entire tour.
And I will tell you that there was a question for me personally of ethics, and is this right to sort of exploit in this way? But the fact of the matter is that in an ever-changing business, it's all about supply and demand, and if you're not supplying what your fans want, then you're going to get left behind. So it's about knowing your audience and knowing how to target them in ways that make them feel valued as opposed to exploited. Yeah, on that note, for example, with a band who plays live more traditionally, if they play live a lot, there's going to be an opportunity for physical item sales. So a developing act is going to make more money on physical items and merch at a more quicker guaranteed factor. But it all depends on the artist and the artist audience that they're building in their direction.
Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. And we can, if anyone has any questions, some of us will be over here. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
If you guys get in touch with Barry Heyman, who works with the school, with the sample, don't text me, but